You're watching live on the DTV. We are joined today by Dr. Pam Perry, who is an award-winning communications professional. She teaches and mentors speakers and authors on how to build a platform and attract major media and publishing contracts. She is also the publisher of Speakers Magazine and co-founder of Digital Business Acceleration. After working with Dr. Pam, her clients have been featured in CNN, TBN, The World Network, Radio One, Oprah Magazine, Time Joy Morning Show, Essence, Ebony, Black Enterprises, PBS, and many other major media outlets. Her clients have been offered major publishing contracts and have created successful full-time careers as entrepreneurs, commonly owning over six figures. Dr. Pam has worked with many nonprofit organizations like the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History and the Detroit Area Agency on Aging Developing, their social media presence, online brand, and digital marketing programs. She is the author of Synergy Energy, How to Use the Power of Partnerships to Market Your Book, Grow Your Business, and Brand Your Ministry. Known as a master of connecting the right people to the right project at the right time, Pam Perry PR works hard to help her clients and get paid like a superstar.
Hey there. Thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you?
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. We're great. How are you?
Good, good.
So what got you started and navigated you into PR?
Well, it's like a gift, I guess you would say. I've always been a person that liked to promote positive things, positive people, positive publications. So I've done that really since childhood, growing up in Detroit,
Yes.
child of the 60s. And, really looking at Berry Gordy as like one of the models, right? He promoted positive people and he was a beast at that. So looking at what he did would say specifically Dinah Ross and the Supremes, he took these girls from the projects, right? And made them superstars. I was always enamored with that story. And even today, it's just like really amazing what he has done. He's tapped raw talent, I guess you would say, and made them superstars. Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, all of the things that Detroit is known for really started that little Hitsville, USA, right on the boulevard. And so that has been something that I've done. I've done it. I happened to grow up next door to a child prodigy, Kim Jordan. We all went to church together. I didn't sing in any of that, but whenever she would have events, or we would do like these concerts, I guess you would say, in the backyard, I would be in charge of promoting that. And it's just eventually I went on to Cass Tech in the house and went in majored in business, but then I also worked at the school newspaper and then went to Wayne State. And again, I was part of the newspaper. And then when I graduated, I worked for the Detroit Free Press. And it's always been easy for me to write and promote and really share stories of positive people and places and publications.
Yes, ma'am. And that's really what we want to do here, which is why we wanted to get you on, because we love your platform. We love what you're doing, the podcast, the books, the magazines, everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you meant
someone wants to say hi. Really?
What's his name?
Peppy, another
yeah,
P. All right. So you're good. You're good. All right. Okay. So just please, I got to give you a treat. Just relax.
Fur baby's trying to steal a show.
I know.
So you mentioned you got a lot of inspiration from Berry Gordy, of course, the Hitsville, USA, more popularly known as Motown, and the positive people he brought on. Now, and I got you started, but are there some people you can highlight and you can share with us in your career that you've been able to spotlight, became big authors or went on to bigger things?
I've always loved inspirational books. I mean, that's like one of the things that just has been part of my growth, personal growth, as well as professional growth. So I ran for 10 years, American Christian Writers Group. I did that for 10 years. And a lot of authors have come through there. I probably can't even name them all, but it's been hundreds. The one person that I know in particular, Venus has a book called The Brown Paper Bag that really talked about back in the day when Hudson's was here before Macy's, that Black people couldn't work at Hudson's unless you were lighter than a brown paper bag. So her book really is set in Detroit, and she wrote that novel and sold a lot of copies with that. And then eventually started really hosting the American Christian Writers Group and birthing other authors. And then she started the Anointed Pen Conference and had hundreds of people come to that at Greater Grace. So yeah, it's been interesting. Kim Brooks was another one that came through there, and Linda Fagans, and Denise Smith. There's been a lot of them that have started with an idea, wrote the book, and then I gave them tips of how to market and promote the book, because that's primarily what I love to do. In terms of like one of the books that I used to read or just love is anything that has to do with Les Brown. So I had the pleasure of working with Les Brown. He was on the cover of Speakers Magazine, which is my magazine. I don't think I have the one where he's on there, but this is my magazine here. But yeah, so I love working with authors and speakers. So it's too many to name. It's almost like saying, what's your favorite child? Because they're all your favorite.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I've worked with people like from Dr. Cindy Trim to TD Jakes to Creflo Dollar, Taffy Dollar, Dr. Stacia Pierce. They weren't all in Detroit, so it's the national things. I was just thinking of some local authors from Detroit. Ken Brown is from Detroit. I helped him with his platform. He's gone on to work with Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, who's not from Detroit, but from Atlanta, and worked with Les Brown. And Dr. George Fraser is a big mentor of mine as well. So yeah, it's always been a lot of things that that have been inspirational to me, and it's always been in the form of a book.
Yes.
Always been in terms of a book.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, you named a lot of names there and big names. One of them that I'm pretty familiar with, I think, is one of the last ones you named, Kim Brown. I think we actually had him on, and yeah, he's got a lot of energy, but I like his platform and what he was saying and how he started. He told me he started in
McDonald's.
Hospitality, McDonald's, and went from there, was working with his parents and got like $1 million loan, was able to pay it back in like 3 years. I said, man, that's quite a story, especially talking about the
and I don't. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Ken grew up very, very poor. You know, he doesn't, hide the fact that he was evicted from, I think, 12 times by the time he got to high school and things like that. So he had like a real rags to riches story. His first book that he really published with me is From Welfare to Faring Well. And when I was working with the PR agency, McDonald's was my client, and Ken had this energy, infectious energy. And one of the things he said to me, he says, hey, I'm going to be mentioned in Tavis Smiley's book as one of my chapters, telling my story. And I said, really? I said, you need to have your own story. Right. And that planted the seed in that. And then from there, I helped him ghostwrite the book. I really connected him with a premier ghostwriter that was friends of mine, because again, I was running the American Christian Writers Group. So I knew a lot of ghostwriters and things like that, and editors and all that. And then from there, he said, well, I said, Ken, if you want to promote your book, what would be the thing of the endorsements that we would have for your book? He said, oh, I would love to have Les Brown and George Fraser and Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. And even I remember sitting at McDonald's one day, and we actually called Dr. Dennis Kimbrough from McDonald's. Wow. And I said, this is a guy that I know that has a phenomenal story. I told him a little bit about it. He would love to have your endorsement for the book. If we send you 3 chapters, would you consider that? And he did. And so we did that. He had Andrea Hall. He had, just the first part of his book, he had so many endorsements, but that gave him credibility to really say that, these people say his book was good. And they had a platform, because he had a platform at McDonald's, but not in the literary space. So it really showed that he is a for real deal. And so he went on and he did the book tour. He was actually featured in Ebony magazine. I did PR for him for many years. And so that's like a success story of someone that just has an idea, or I give them my idea and it's like, yeah, I should. And it really then takes off. And that was one of the things, since he became a full-time speaker and author, and I helped him do his first videos because he didn't have that, a book trailer, set up his website, tell him how to navigate the website. I mean, there's so many branding things that we put together, from his logo, all of that. And that's the fun part for me, of really seeing someone who has a message and then helping them package it.
Yes. And that's amazing. You think I will write a book and then I'll put it out there, but then there's so much to absorb after that with the PR, and then you now created this thing and you have to create now a space from that creation, and that's what you do. So that's amazing. That I love it. So for someone asking themselves like, oh man, that's really great, and I have a book and I'm an indie published author, how can they get started with you? And somebody, you know, the question comes up, well, is it affordable?
But one of the main things, if people have ideas for books all the time, but before the book is actually written, I always tell people to write a marketing plan for the book.
Mm.
And part of that is building your platform and really just owning your own brand. So I teach people in my programs. I have two programs. One is called the Branding Accelerator, which I'm doing a webinar about that today. And then the other one is Ready, Set, Go, Speak. So depending on the level where you are, if you're just really starting out, Ready, Set, Go, Speak is probably the first place to really start. It'll give you a overall view of everything that is needed in order to make a brand really shine and start. I always say people don't know what they don't know, right? They look on the outside and they don't really look under the hood about what's really involved. So I teach people really how to manage their digital space, how to build a platform, how to really get on podcasts, how to really build partnerships for their community, how to publish the book, what's all involved in that, how to really even write the book, you know, within the Ready, Set, Go, Speak. It's like, how do you really put that together? I teach people about grand photo shoots, all the things that they need that, you know, the 20 plus, really 30 years that I've been doing this, all the things that they really need, but giving them like an overall view, what's involved, because people just think like, oh, I just write a book and, you know, people will come and buy it. No, that's probably not going to happen unless you have like, you know, TV sensational, you know, someone who's been on television for something very, very sensational, then they write a book. People who have done TED Talks who get a lot of views, sometimes they write a book afterwards. But for the average person that has an idea about a book, they do need to write the marketing plan first, and knowing what's involved in the marketing plan, because that's really how agents look at whether they're going to sell a book to a publisher. They'll look at the marketing plan first, not necessarily the idea of the book, but how are you going to sell the book? There's a lot of books, but what it makes a book sell is a marketing plan. So the Ready, Set, Go, Speak.com is where they would start first. Then if they really, I guess you said they could be in that membership for about a year or so, you know, because I always say it takes about a year for a book really to build a platform and build some legs. And then from there, go into my Branding Accelerator program, which is 12 weeks. And that's more like accelerating the brand that you've already defined. And those are like the main two. And then after that, you know, someone like Ken Brown would work with me independently, and then they would get in things like Ebony Magazine and Black Enterprise and things like that. But it starts at the very beginning, like to get ready, to get set, to go and speak. When I say speak, meaning like whether it's on podcasts or you're speaking on stages. So media speaking is different from on stage speaking. So I really teach people the messaging on both of those. So it's a lot. So many people think it's easy, and it is simple, but it's not easy, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But it is simple if you have a strategy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a player that strategy. And just with anything you jump into a space you're not familiar with, a lot of things are, like you said, easy, but they're not simple. So it's strategy based. You know, whether we talk about publishing a book or real estate or anything, any new venture that you're just not common with. Speaking of your Branding Accelerator program, at the time of this recording, she's actually doing one a day, May 4th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. So be sure to check that out. I'm gonna make a little social media post for that for you to help hopefully get you a couple more people on there. But yeah, I got your email literally like 10 minutes. I said, okay. And I was kind of worried because I said, oh no, if you have to cancel, did something come up?
No, I don't.
I
don't. That's one of the things I teach people when they're doing my media training. Is to the first part of media training is always show up on time and never cancel. I mean, like, you know, that's not acceptable. So when I do media training with people, I said, no matter who it is, if you have made a commitment, you stick to that commitment, unless obviously, you know, you're hit by a car or a truck or a bus or something like that, but you definitely have to make your commitment. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. So what do your clients personally say? You know, we read your bio, but what are your clients, some of the things they personally said, the reviews they gave you after working with you, and maybe especially those ones that weren't sure at first?
Well, one of the things I always tell them is that if you could take it, you can make it. So they will tell you that I'm tough, that I will then tear their brand apart in order to reconstruct it so that it is good. So someone that maybe comes to me and they don't have things together, I will say, okay, we need to work on this, this, and this. They don't know what they don't know. So they'll look at things. So I may do an audit of everything. So say, for instance, with Kim Brooks, one of the first things with Kim is just really defining her brand, who she's talking to, and, how are we going to get your message out? What is your messaging? So kimbrooksonline.com is her, I said Kim on the web. That's her thing, kimontheweb.com, because Kim Brooks was taken. So kimontheweb.com. And then from there, she has a newsletter. And I told her, I said, what is the content of your newsletter? How are you going to drive people to subscribe to your newsletter? Are you going to have speaking? Do you have a media kit? Let's put together your media kit. Let's get some photos for your photo shoot, for your website. Let's pull together all your social media so it's all consistent. I mean, so there, so many things that people have to do, but it's foundational. And then once they're on the foundation, they build from that. So she's gone on and she's written for magazines, Gospel Today. She's done like Christian singles cruise, because obviously her market is single Christian women. She's been invited to speak. She was just speaking not too long ago at a church. She does coaching, book coaching, because she's really good at that. She's helping women who want to write fiction books. She basically has built her whole business around her first book idea that she came with me for.
Right.
And so she got a publishing contract. That was a 3-book deal. She's published some other books. First book out the gate sold 10,000 copies. So that's one of the things. But she stuck with me for a while. There was a lot of foundational things that she had to do. She thought if she wrote the book, she would sell 10,000 copies. But there were a lot of steps in between, a lot of things she had to learn, beginning with as simple as like her email. I said, if you're going to pitch the media, you need to have a real email. It can't be a Gmail, can't be a Yahoo, can't be definitely not AOL. I said, so it's Kim at kimontheweb.com. I'm Pam at pamperrypr.com. I said that coincides with your website, which is hosted by a hosting company. It's not with a Weebly or, that kind of thing. I said, you use WordPress. So now we're getting into like digital marketing.
Right.
I said is really key. I said, so, but if people who are looking for you can find you on the web, you're open to the whole world. And so the only way to do that is to know digital marketing, search engine optimization, the right way to do things, what tools and apps to use. Software as a service is really, really big for me. SaaS, right? Because there's so many things. Canva is a software as a service, right? So there are things like that you need. And then I even showed her how to, get overseas help as well, like maybe for some minor things using things like Fiverr or Upwork. So it's more than just the book, because it's a business. It's a business.
And that's the key, because I think a lot of people don't know that when they first, and I didn't know that when I first started writing my first books. I started at 12 years old, and my mom was like, okay, promote your book. And I find events to go to. And that was a good basis to start at, because I've been doing. But now I'm realizing, okay, I need to be online almost every day, no less than 3 to 4 times a week, talking about my business, talking about my book, selling. And it just speaks to just not, again, you saying not knowing, because I know what I went through was like, I don't want to always trying to be selling this to people. I don't want to be always, people just think, oh, he's just always trying to get money from me. No, that's what they want. And then put information and real content with it. And now you have a brand, and now you're known for something.
Yes, exactly. That is it. And you're not really selling. You're really looking for the right person who is looking for a solution, and you happen to have the answer in the form of a book, a course, or a program.
Right. Absolutely.
So they're looking, people are buying all the time. So you just have to make sure that it's packaged correctly.
Yeah. And I'm glad a lot of there are programs like this. And even speaking of Kim on the web, you said there that she now coaches, and I'm sure she gets paid for that, coaches on teaching people how to create their books.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Some people would say, well, isn't that what you do? But you taught her, and now she's able to go out and assist someone else. And it's like, we can all, work together in our spaces and assist each other.
And the thing that I do is I help people promote the book. So I don't help people write the books.
Right.
That's a whole nother skill set. So she does the actual writing because she's a great editor and she can write books. I help people. When people come to me and say if they want to be a private PR client and they have a book, I'm going to assume the book is well written and well done. Now, if it's not, then we've got to go backwards and say, okay, we need to have this redone. And I've had people, and I told people, I said, if you get the book redone, repackaged, we can talk, but I don't help them write the book, but I would send them to someone like a Kim Brooks if they're just beginning, or an editor or someone like that, even like book covers and things like that. I know good book covers. And I would say, you've got to go to Juan Roberts. He does great at book covers. Or the name of your book. Before you even write the book, write the marketing plan, and then run the marketing plan by different people and say, what do you like the name of this book? Or, even get the cover design first before you even write the book. Just see if there's interest, because nothing worse than spending a whole lot of money and time on something that people don't even want. So I always tell people, if your marketing plan doesn't make sense, then you're not really writing a book to market, you're writing a journal. And there's just a difference. I mean, you're just writing a journal, and it's nothing wrong. I mean, you can still write, but it's just not going to sell.
Right. Yeah. Gotta market it right. Man, and that just speaks to just so much of just marketing. It's just, you just got to get out there and be right, be together. And you need assistance, because like you say, you don't know what you don't know. So go ahead and make that investment in yourself. You invested the time to write this book and do the research. Now invest the money to get someone to help you.
To do it right. Yeah. Because
Exactly.
there's some people that said, I know how to do marketing, and then it looks really crunchy and looks bad. And that does your brand disservice. So really knowing how to do a good book trailer. I use Bob Ivory, who's from Detroit, who lives in Nashville now, but I used him for Ken to do a lot of his videos and to do his book trailers and things like that. They're almost like little mini movies. They're really, really good. Ivory Coast Communications. Then, for editing and things like that, I use Kim, or maybe I will have like readers, because you got to have readers for your book before it's written. So Venus would have like readers assembled. And then after that, maybe a book club. And then you would say, okay, well, can you put me in touch with different book clubs that will buy my book? One person, Judge Leonia Lloyd, who's from Detroit, former judge here in Detroit, her and her twin sister were judges at the same time on the 36th District Court, but her book won 5 book awards.
Oh, wow.
And it was her first book, her memoir called Your Honor, Your Honors. Very proud of her first book. And she self-published herself. I wasn't with her during the process of that. She came to me after the book was done. And when I read the book, I said, oh my God, this book is amazing. It has so many stories in it. And it's about a 400-page book, really, really good. But it won 5 book awards. And her career as a model, her and her twin sister, 2 teachers. One was a teacher at Cass Tech, performing arts. Then they went to law school. Then they became entertainment lawyers for Motown acts. And then after that, they ran for judge. And she was on the court for like 20 something years or something like that. But really, between all of that, remember, she's born at this point, going to law school during the time where it's like a lot of civil unrest, right? Detroit is riots are going on, all that kind of stuff. Right. So being in law school, being Black during that time, during the civil rights era, was really, really a pivotal part of why she does what she does. And then she started the drug court and really helping people with this restorative justice and that. So it's a lot. One of the things working with her over the, she's been part of the Branding Accelerator as well, is just really helping her shape her story so that her book becomes her business. That's really, really key. Her book is her business. She's a great speaker. So just really ramping up her speaking, I guess you would say, cachet, so that people will call on her. She's been on the cover of a speakers magazine. I don't think I have it with me, but there have been like a few of them. This is a person here from Lansing, but she was been on the cover of that. And it's just really been helpful to see her blossom and grow in a space in her, quote unquote, her encore career, not her second career, her encore career, because she had all that other stuff she did before. Right. She was a judge for like 20 something years. So that was really thing. And winning the book awards, each one she had to submit it, and then they had to judge it. And when she won the first one, she was excited. The second one, the third one, and then when she said 5, I'm like, oh my God, Yeah. So, but that was part of the plan for her personal PR, because I knew at a certain point in time, by the time her book came to me, we can't do like this whole little Amazon, bestseller campaign. not to put any shade against that's still important, but it's really more credible when you have critical acclaim for your book than just because a lot of people can rig Amazon bestsellers. They really can. It's kind of a game today. So I'm not gonna say anything else.
Yeah. I kind of get where you're going. We won't share any of the industry secrets now.
Yeah.
But
or industry scams or shams, I guess you would say. But yeah,
really hack that. I'll say that much. You can hack that.
You can hack it, but you can't hack New York Times bestseller. You really can't. That's a whole different thing. But you can hack the algorithms in Amazon because it is a website. So, but anyway, yeah.
Okay. All right. We know you have a lot going on and you got to get going. We're not rushing you off. But before you have to go, tell us about the Get Out There and Get Known podcast with Pam Perry.
Yes. So really, this is a podcast that is like near to my heart. So I wanted to really talk every single week about marketing, PR, and branding. I love that. And my friends say, "Oh, I can't believe that you just have so much energy." But if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. So
never work a day in your life.
Yeah. So every week I would talk about how to really position yourself or how to publish or how to promote, so that was what I wanted to do every single week for a half an hour. And then from time to time, I said, okay, I don't want to always be my voice, but I want to bring on some experts as well. So I'll interview PR colleagues, I'll interview some of my journalist friends, and I'll even interview people who are doing it well, that have gotten out there and got known, so they can tell us like what was the secret, what was the recipe. So it's called Get Out There and Get Known. It's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, it's on Google Play, it is on everywhere, basically anywhere you listen to podcasts. And that's one podcast. I think I'm on almost like podcast number 100 on that particular one. And then I'm starting another one, which is makes sense, is Speakers Magazine. So it'll be the Speakers Magazine podcast. And so all the people who are in the Speakers Magazine will be obviously on the podcast. So it's just so you can hear them speaking. That makes sense. So that has been a long time coming. And then eventually the same thing where they will actually have their own show, where we will actually have our own Roku channel, and it will be Speakers Magazine show on Roku. Yeah, so Roku. So that's one of the main things as well. So those things, audio, visual, having speakers, heard is important, and seen because they are speakers. So that's one of the main things. Just really keeping in that ecosystem of authors and speakers and sharing positive messages, which has been my brand basically my entire life.
Right. Can you speak a little bit about just getting started, because you're doing so much, clearly, again, starting a new podcast and hopes to get a Roku channel soon. Well, works to get a Roku channel soon, but just getting started and of course doing your own thing, because you've experienced with 30 years of being a journalist and PR person. But a lot of people, they have that the hardest part for them is just getting started. And I'm like, no, just write a book and then you'll figure it out along the way. But write it and publish it.
Yes, they can. I mean, the thing about if you are a writer to write, that is for sure. But one of the main things, I guess, is to really learn about marketing. You can either learn from mistakes or mentors. So I would say you can make a lot of mistakes and learn, but you can also get a mentor and it'll cut a lot of that curve. So I always tell people, I said, whatever you want to do, get a mentor. If you can't afford to hire them as a coach, then at least follow them online, follow them on their social media, subscribe to their newsletters, read their books, go to their conferences as much as you can, invest in time of really studying them. And so it was the same thing with me when I was starting my business. It was like, who was some of the best in the business in terms of PR? My mentor retired, Terry Williams, and Terry was a beast. She had a book called The Personal Touch, which I still recommend it to people today. But one of the things, you just have to put your head in the game. Decide if you're going to commit to it for real. Do the homework. It's going to be hard. And if it's too hard for you because you don't want to do it, then don't half-ass it. Keep, make sure that you're going to do it for real. If
Right.
not, just quit it and then say, hey, maybe I'll just go and bake bread and flip hamburgers or so, whatever it is, because I don't really want it that bad. So I always tell people, how bad do you want it? And you have to invest time and money in order to make it work. One of the best movies that I saw that talked about investing in the time was Beyonce, the homecoming video, when she was it was showing how she prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
She was already at the top of her game, right? She knows to sing and dance, but she was doing like 14 hours a day, and she had just had the baby,
Right.
and it was a lot. But you can see why she is a superstar that she is, because she invests the time and the money. She was not lazy, ever, ever. She's been doing this since she was a child. And so I always tell people, I say, you've got to invest something. If you can't invest the time, invest the money to have someone help you along the way. And that's really like the main thing. And be committed, stay consistent, have clarity, always be on brand, on point, know your messaging, hooks and angles, and read at least one book a month, if not one book a week. And that's really, really key. They always say that if you want to keep a secret from Black people, put it in the book. So my thing is, like, unleash the secrets and read. It's an open world now. We're in the information age. So you've got to read all the time.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay, Miss Perry, we'll let you get going. But you said, get a mentor, get a coach, or if you can't afford that, follow them online. So where can we follow you and keep up with you online?
PamPerryPR.com. They can go there and they'll get everything that they need. It's very easy to navigate, and they'll get on my email list by downloading like the 7 tips that people need in order to be on media, and they'll get that video training there. So go to PamPerryPR.com.
PamPerryPR.com. You heard it here, right here on Live on the DTV. Can you tell the people again one more time who you are, where you're joining us from, and the channel they're watching?
Yes, I'm Pam Perry from Detroit, Motown. I'm the publisher of Speakers Magazine. I'm a publicist and also a podcaster. And I'm from, I guess we call my setup the Black Velvet Studios, because I have velvet behind me.
Can you tell them what channel they're watching now? Give us a little shit.
Live in the D.
Live in the DTV. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. All right. We thank you so much. And we look forward to hearing more and seeing more from Pam Perry PR soon.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, live viewer, for tuning in to this week's episode of Live in DTV. Be sure to keep up with this week's guest by checking out their links below. Also, follow our page at Live with DTV on social media platforms. That's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, just all of them. Also, follow my personal pages at I Am The Grill on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Show love to our supporters of the show at PennyLoveFitness.com. Get your fitness game right with PennyLoveFitness.com. Keep up with all the latest news, events, fashions, and happenings in our communities with SupportBlacks.net, while also getting your Support Black businesses and Black brand wear with SupportBlacks.net. Keep your devices alive and running well with iDoc Device Repair. That's www.idocdevicerepair.com. Alright, that's all the time we have here today. Thanks again for tuning in. Remember to start your own business, stay hydrated, and we'll be seeing you soon.